Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Amateur Hour Sports for today's Raptors Happy Hour live stream. We are here for your Monday edition of the Raptors Happy Hour, here for December 22nd, in the midst of the holiday season. Looking forward to taking some time off and chilling with some family in the next week or so, or in the next few days, but digging in here for some Raptors content, not in the best of spirits. From a Raptors perspective, things are definitely not going well for the team at the moment. A couple of really poor losses on the bounce for the Raptors, which we will be discussing today. And just the Raptors' run of form right now and contribution to that run of form. The Raptors, as you can see from the title of the stream today, paying a lot for very little at the moment. And that's for a large number of reasons. I mean, there's quite a few players you can kind of lump into that right now for the Raptors, unfortunately, with the way things have been going. So we'll look at the last two games the Raptors have played since I last did Raptors Happy Hour stream. We'll look at kind of some extra numbers that showcase some of the major concerns right now for this Raptors team. We will touch on Immanuel Quickley, specifically how poorly he's played. We'll actually dig into Scottie Barnes as well, because as much as he's been a surefire all-star this season, lately he has not been anywhere close to those levels of the team when they really need him to be. And then we'll look at a former Raptor signing with a new team when maybe fans were thinking he could have come back to the Raptors, and a whole bunch of other stuff, along with anything that we do get from the chat today. So thank you so much for joining me today on the Happy Hour. If you do enjoy what you see from the content today, please make sure you do hit the like button. Also, if you're new to the channel, subscribe. Typically, I'm live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. for streams like this. Not this week. Only going to be live today just because of Christmas Eve, the 24th. I'm going to be with family on the 26th as well. Watch parties I do for almost every Raptors game. I do clips and highlights as well throughout the week. There's so much great content. Maybe not next couple of weeks as much, but there still will be great content. And I think you should be subscribed. So we'll dig into things here. How's everyone doing? How was everyone's weekend? I know I saw you last night with the Raptors game, and that was bad. But honestly, I did so much in the last, 24 hours that I kind of holy, that game was yesterday? I guess it was an early game, and that does it to you because I could just watch NFL primetime. But, yeah, how's everyone feeling today? I got to move stuff in my pajamas on my table here. Festive. Get these out of here. Anyways, ready to dig into this one today, and it's not going to be kind to really anybody. Let's look at the last two games here and where kind of struggles are lying for this Raptors team at the moment, because it's I mean, right now it's seemingly like nothing is going right for the Raptors. It's been a terrible run of games for the Raptors. They are continuing to lose, and there is a very daunting schedule on the horizon. So games like they just had against the Brooklyn Nets, those are the games you really need to take advantage of. And it was an embarrassing loss, to be honest, for the Raptors for a second consecutive night. So things are not going well for the Raptors, and the players they're paying the highest amount of money are big contributors to where things are going wrong. And even guys like Scottie Barnes are not exempt of criticism right now. So let's dig into some of where the real problems are lying for the team at the moment. And I said it is a daunting schedule on the horizon for the Raptors, and that it is. We've got Miami, then Washington. Miami we've beaten. Washington, I say, should be a win, though we just lost to Brooklyn. Then it's a horrid run here. Golden State, Orlando, Denver, Atlanta twice. Charlotte, who's beaten you twice already this season. Boston, Philly. It's like a horrendous schedule upcoming here for the Raptors, who have now fallen to 17-13 on the season despite their 14-5 start. These are the games you got to win. These are the winnable games. Even the one against the Boston Celtics, where you're at home, you're slightly favored, they're missing guys, it's winnable. But this one in particular against Brooklyn, that's one that you really, if you want to be a playoff team, that's really one that you want to take advantage of and grab a win. The Raptors were just completely unable to do that here. And there's some alarming trends that are kind of existing here for the team. The Raptors, since RJ Barrett went down with an injury, we'll talk more about its impact in a little bit. But since RJ Barrett went down with injury, the Raptors have the worst offense in the NBA. They still are on that trend where they have the worst offense in the NBA over, I think it's the last now 12 games since RJ Barrett went out with the injury. And the offense is the worst in the NBA with typically Brandon Ingram playing very well. Now, this was like, of the recent games, this was one of the lesser performances for Brandon Ingram. 19 points, 7 of 18. Like, it's not that bad. It's okay. It's not great. But, like, typically, it's been great from Brandon Ingram, and the offense still sucks. Quickley had 17 points, but it was, like, a big chunk of it was in a short spurt, and he still went 5 of 16. Raptors aren't getting nearly as much production from their bench right now. Like, another brutal plus-minus game for Sandro Mamukelashvili in place of Jakob Poeltl for most of the game. Because, hey, your big money center, Jakob Poeltl, can just wake up and his back hurts and doesn't play. Or he can play 7 minutes, his back hurts, and he has to step out of the game. But I think a fair bit of the criticism now needs to go towards Scottie Barnes for his lack of aggression and his very poor demeanor as of late for the team. So, like, I mean, just let's look at this. 96-81. The Raptors scored 81 points against the Brooklyn Nets, who, honestly, sure, they've been improving on defense as of late. They've been one of the, in like a very recent stretch, they've been one of the better defenses in the NBA statistically. So maybe a tough assignment there for this Raptors struggling offense, but I don't care like who you're playing here. 81 points in a modern NBA game is just completely, utterly unacceptable and inexcusable. The Raptors shot 37% from the field. And it wasn't, I think the fourth quarter, maybe it started to feel like this way. But for most of the game, it wasn't a case of we're getting good looks and shots aren't falling. Like, the Raptors weren't getting anything going. They weren't generating anything with any consistent degree. And, 81 points here against the Nets, that's even worse than the game before. But still, this one is bad as well. It just looks better in comparison there. But, you had a depleted Celtics team who had to give heavy minutes to Hugo Gonzalez and Luka Garza. I don't want to be disrespectful, but Luka Garza in 2025 getting 26 minutes and going plus 22, that's an abomination against this Raptors team. It is. Hugo Gonzalez, fine young player, sure, but plus 37, that's the guy that pieced you up. That's the guy you couldn't handle. Ingram was 24 points, 10 of 17. That's a fantastic stat line. The Raptors didn't reach 100 points here. Barnes went 5 of 15 here. Immanuel Quickley was 1 of 12, was 3 points. You just need more out of some players here. Abaji's been better lately, but that's just, in comparison to how bad he's been for the Raptors this season, where, yeah, okay, sure, 7 points and 3 of 6 for Abaji. He's, it's better than what he's been doing, but how has nobody stepped up into this vacant role left by RJ Barrett, all these additional touches that are going their way? That's a really bad look for this Raptors team. But what was most alarming about this game against the Brooklyn Nets for me was the play of Scottie Barnes. Now, Scottie Barnes this season has been terrific. I'm not going to question that. If we look at the Calci odds here, which were our very good indication of predicting future outcomes. It's a prediction market. Scottie Barnes is lined at 28% to get to the NBA All-Star game this season, which he deserves, absolutely. He's been terrific as a whole this season. But in the recent run of games where the Raptors have been very poor, where the Raptors continue to lose games, where the Raptors can't find anything on offense, this is your top guy. This is your highest paid player. This is your franchise player. This guy he's on a max contract. This is the guy you look to lean on to kind of get you through some of these tough times. And in games like this against the Brooklyn Nets, his aggression is nowhere to be seen. His demeanor is off. He's letting his head hang. He's not setting an example, which he needs to be doing for this team. And it will go back to a lot of what I said in the offseason for Scottie Barnes. Where there was continuous concerns last season is just the amount of times he settles for bad shots. This is such a good player who doesn't need to settle, who doesn't need to just accept the shots that are presented to him. He's someone who is more than capable of manufacturing the looks for himself. You look at Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram's not settling. Brandon Ingram's looking for good shots. He's hunting down his spots to get good shots. Something that Scottie Barnes can do a whole lot better than he has been doing as of late. We're just getting back into this. He's comfortable settling for shots in mid-range, which are inefficient shots for Scottie Barnes. They're efficient for Brandon Ingram. They're not efficient for Scottie Barnes. Where Scottie Barnes does his damage is getting to the rim. Where Scottie Barnes does his damage is wreaking havoc inside, getting fouls. Like, you can't be a player as good as Scottie Barnes and get no free throws in this one against the Nets. I'm just kind of curious now. How many did he get against the Celtics? 1 free throw attempt. He took 15 shots and had 1 free throw attempt against the Celtics. Like, talk all you want about defense, but Scottie Barnes getting 1 free throw attempt in 2 games is flat out unacceptable. Not from a refereeing perspective, but from a Barnes perspective. It is another indicator of just the shot selection, shot diet being all off from at the moment. And where there was success to start the season is how often he was forcing his way inside, getting to the rim, getting good shots up. So defensively, he's been fantastic. He's clearly a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and that has still kind of remained for him. But on offense, like, you've lost RJ Barrett, who's averaging 20 points per game this season. He's obviously a humongous factor. We need players to step up in that absence, and he just has not been able. He's not done it. It's not that he's not been able. He is not doing it. So, like, you say he's struggling not for the lack of effort. I think in this case, unfortunately for Barnes, it is for the lack of effort. The Raptors need more out of their franchise player. He's been great this season. He deserves to be an all-star, but in this recent run of games where you've really needed him to step up, he is not doing so. Obviously, there's bigger problems that lie. You're paying Pirtle all this money. He's never healthy. You're paying Immanuel Quickley all this money, and it's not even that he's inconsistent. He's just consistently not doing enough for this team, especially considering the amount of money that he is making. It's all led to this spiral out of control for the Raptors. And, I mean, even on the season as a whole, I know they've been spiraling as of late. Just when they've been tested this year, there's been issues. They're now 0-7 against top 10 offenses this season. They're one of 5 teams without a win against a top 10 offense, joining the Wizards, Clippers, Pacers, and Hornets. I don't need to tell you how bad those teams are that the Raptors are in company with. So it's a very ugly look for the Raptors there. They can't beat good offenses. They're not scoring here. Scottie Barnes is struggling lately. Immanuel Quickley's been struggling all season, and RJ Barrett's still out with an injury, hopefully back soon. But for the people that just think once RJ Barrett returns, we'll be back to normal, we'll all be fine. There are a lot of issues with this team that RJ Barrett coming back are just not going to straight up fix. It's a big boost when RJ Barrett comes back, no doubt. That's a player that's going to help this team. You get 20 points per game back, and it's not like Abaji, Walter, or Grady Dick have done anything where it's like, their usage will come down and their points come. Like, they've done nothing. You're really just injecting, you're almost essentially injecting 20 points into this team. And hey, if you eject 20 against the Brooklyn Nets, you actually would have gotten over 100 points in that game. I'm oversimplifying it, but there were a lot of issues with the team where the Raptors are not getting good looks, where the Raptors are not generating consistent quality offense that just RJ Barrett coming back on his own is not going to fix. There's still defensive issues that lie with the team. There's still issues at the center position that lie with this team. It's a big boost when he comes back, but the problems are greater. And even when he comes back, you're going to need better out of Barnes and Quickley. Absolutely. I absolutely need more out of those guys. But it's alarming what's on the horizon for the Raptors. And it's very much started to feel like we're crashing back down to earth. And start of the season projection was play-in tournament. By the end of 2025, we might be occupying those. We're probably gonna be occupying those spots again. That's the way things are heading. Unfortunate. Good start. Maybe hiding a bit of it, but that's just where the team is heading. Frustrating. It's frustrating to see it out of Barnes, who, when he's on, he's so good. Like I said, the way he started the season, but to just not be putting in the effort to get good shots is really annoying. Shout out Cosmic Glitch, Phoenix, and Burns in the chat. Let me see. 81 points by NBA team in 2025 against Brooklyn. Pace alone should get near 100. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Can the Raptors get Darius Garland? I mean, maybe, but I just don't really see the value in doing that. His availability is becoming a very big concern for the Cavs. And I don't think the Raptors can put up with that at the moment. Maybe it would be the worst. Like if you're going to upgrade on Quickley, then maybe sure, but I don't think that's a target for the Raptors at the moment. How much of this says about Scottie's self-creation ability, complacency of just playing within the offense? We already are aware of, I think, where some of like the Scottie Barnes self-creation issues lie. I think we know his limitations there. I think complacency is kind of a better term there, because even with like the self-creation issues, like he can still be aggressive and find looks at the rim. I think his attitude towards the offense right now is the bigger issue rather than the self-creation. We're aware of the self-creation stuff, but he's still been able to overcome that this season. Lack of point of attack presence at the guard spot and no rim deterrence. The roster construction is abysmal. Yeah, I mean, those are like the two of the biggest things you need on defense. Perhaps if neither. Chris Boucher regrets leaving Toronto in his latest statement. I mean, first, I didn't see that. Second of all, Chris Boucher, didn't leave. The Raptors didn't re-sign him. Yeah, I don't see anything about that. If there's any regrets, it's that Chris Boucher. If there are any regrets, it's the Celtics for signing him. So much of last season, people talking about like how important Chris Boucher could be to the team and why are we letting Chris Boucher walk? Like, yeah, the Celtics signed him. He was starting at first. Then they're like, wait, this guy's not very good. And now he doesn't play at all. Like, even in their depleted roster game against the Raptors, he didn't even touch the floor still. They're depleted for numbers, and he still doesn't play. Like, unfortunately, that's the level of Chris Boucher. Raptors fans, like classic Raptors fans, overrating end-of-bench guys who like wouldn't sniff the floor elsewhere, and there's proof of that. Here's very good evidence of that. A trade is needed regardless. I'd say so. Can't keep fucking plotting this out. Can't just keep doing this. Anthony Davis trade solves half our issues. It solves some issues. It creates some as well. I don't think just shelling out for Anthony Davis is just a fix for this team. But do you want to be good or do you want to be really bad? Because with the way they are right now, they can't just keep doing this. They can't just sit in the middle. There's opportunity to make a trade and get good, opportunity to make a trade and sit back. And I think they're going to be more aggressive rather than go in the other direction. Anyways, I mentioned quite a bit Immanuel Quickley in that segment there, and I want to dig in. I want to dig in on him a little bit more because, I mean, he deserves it. To be honest, the Raptors gave Immanuel Quickley a 5-year, $175 million contract. Ended up being $32.5 million a year, but they're paying Immanuel Quickley $32.5 million a year to be their starting point guard. And since that contract has been signed, he has not played to the level of a $32.5 million player. And it is really starting to hurt the Raptors as they try to make a push up the standings and into the playoffs. And go back to the contract when it was signed. Immanuel Quickley, coming off of a season with the Raptors, half season with the Raptors, where he put up 18.6 points per game in his games with the Raptors. He shot the ball quite efficiently, 39.5% from three, low 40s from the field. But he's a guy taking a lot of threes. That's something that you kind of have to expect there. But like there was reason to be optimistic. Like this is a player in their age 24 season here, putting up numbers like this, like quality numbers with the opportunity to build off that. Like a younger player growing into a new role. This is Immanuel Quickley playing as a point guard after shifting from a shooting guard from the New York Knicks. These were very promising signs, like the 6.8 assists to go with that as well in 38 games. There was reason for optimism about Immanuel Quickley, but even with that, felt like the right number for him in free agency that year. Felt like the right number was high 20s. Like I was thinking like I'd like to give him 27. I'm okay to go like 29, 29 and a half. Then the Raptors came up to $32.5 million. And okay, maybe some leverage is in his camp because you traded for him and now you have to re-sign him and you're worried about him leaving. You know, maybe that can play out in a little bit. So you just do what you can to keep him. You give him the money and you hope that at some point he is going to build himself up to be able to be worth that contract. Kind of felt like for Immanuel Quickley, that is the hope you get there. But it was a player coming off of a rookie contract. So you had leverage yourself in restricted free agency. You had leverage yourself in the sense like who was going to match that amount of money. And maybe other teams don't necessarily need to like match the money in order to pay him the same amount because of the tax situation in Toronto and Ontario and all that, but they have to match as a restricted free agent, the Raptors have the ability to match the contract. So I don't know where the pressure was necessarily coming from for the $32.5 million. Maybe it was a case the Raptors wanted to take care of their own and they had the belief that he was going to build up to this, develop and get and earn and start earning that money a little bit more. But since then, there's been honestly, like, it's just been regression for the player. Like last season, he only played 33 games, 17.1 points, and just every number came down. Now, maybe part of it coming down is just minutes down. And if you look at it in a different lens and look at it from a per 36 perspective, again, there was some reason for optimism because he was averaging more points per 36 than that impressive season, which landed him that contract. He averaged slightly more assists than that impressive contract, which earned him that contract. Maybe the efficiency had come down a little bit from 3, but his true shooting had gone up as well. So, again, maybe through a different lens, it wasn't as bad. But then this season, he came in healthy finally. We're trying to be a good team, and he has underwhelmed. Certainly, like, you can blame some of it on touches because he's getting less touches, getting less shots because of the addition of Brandon Ingram to the team, but he's still like only 0.5 field goal attempts less per game. His efficiency from 2 has gone up, but his efficiency from 3 has gone down. And just from watching games, his impact on the team has gone down. Like, he's not taken any substantial movement upwards from a defensive perspective. He's been, like, honestly, a bit of a liability in that sense, not being able to provide much point of attack resistance for the team. 15.8 points per game. And there's just wildly inconsistent performances. Like, there are just some games where he's giving you nothing. And look, a lot of these stats are fine for a point guard, but when you're getting paid as much as he's getting paid, it is really crippling for this Raptors team. So there's still time to amend this. Like, Immanuel Quickley is I'm just double checking. I'm pretty sure he's 26 years old. He's 26 years old. Won't turn 27 to the end of the NBA season. There's still time to rectify this a little bit. He can still get better, but we're starting like to get into his prime years here, and definitely like worrying that at this point, like, we've invested quite a bit of time into him, and it just doesn't really feel like there's been any substantial improvement. Like, when he signed the contract, I thought it was, I mean, a lot of people thought it was an insane overpay. I thought it was an overpay, but I understood why the Raptors did it. Like, they wanted to keep him. Maybe looking back, you think, well, like, what was the pressure to give him this much money with the restricted free agency and all? But I thought at least, like, he'll probably develop into a player that is worth this much. But so far, signs are pointing towards regression rather than progression for this Raptors team. And given, like, the recent run of games the Raptors are on, like, you just can't have that. Like, the amount of losses that the Raptors are racking up as of late. Like, we have 3 wins in the last 11 games. And like the last two games in particular, which we've already looked at on the stream today, the loss to the Boston Celtics, he gives you 3 points, 1 of 12. Just disaster of a stat line. And there's like a frequency to it. Recent loss to the Brooklyn Nets, yeah, he got 17 points, but he was 5 of 16, and he had an impact on like 3 minutes of this game, really. Sure, he got 10 assists, but there's different standards when you're being paid like a premier starting point guard in the NBA. There's different standards that he's just coming nowhere to meeting. The Raptors need so much more out of Immanuel Quickley that I'm sure they're exploring trades right now. And the issue with trading him is that like people are looking for just straight up upgrades to point guard. Like what is Immanuel Quickley's value right now? From a value perspective, Immanuel Quickley's value as a trade asset is purely just salary matching. I don't think anybody perceives there to be value on, okay, we're bringing in Immanuel Quickley, the basketball player that's going to help our team in this respect. Like the only value he has is simply he's making $32.5 million. So if you're trading for an Anthony Davis, LaMelo Ball, a Trae Young, Domantas Sabonis, whoever, whatever name you want to use, the value is he can help get you up to the number for salary matching, right? So I don't see like where the upgrade is going to come. I don't see like how the Raptors like get out of this. It's not looking good from a contract perspective. He's got 3.5 years to change that narrative, and sure, a lot of things can change if he can find any degree of consistency. But there's big concern right now for me with the contract, and there's much larger concerns from the majority of the Raptors fan base that well exceeds where my concern levels lie. But for Immanuel Quickley, like, I don't really see the solution as really being a trade. I think the solution just has to be this guy needs to start playing a lot better basketball for this fucking team. If he doesn't, there's not much we can do about it. He's got to be better. Yeah, I'm kind of with Salmon Fish here. The biggest problem, I wouldn't say biggest, but the biggest problem is Quickley is that he shoots 40% inside the paint. Is it actually 40%? Like, is it that bad? I wonder what he is at the rim. I'm kind of curious now. Yeah, he's bad in the paint. His floater game is bad, horrific. Floaters are low-key a bad shot for like most people. Kind of like mid-range shots. Yeah, I'm trying to find the location here. At the rim. Jeez. 48% inside. Oh, that's 2-pointers. Sorry. I was going to say. Field goal percentage by... Okay, so he's 54 at the rim. That's not tragic. Like, Fred VanVleet at the rim was tragic. It was like less than 50%. Oh, no. What am I looking at? Sorry, it's 70% at the rim. Okay, so at least he's good at the rim. 3 to 10 feet, 45%. Okay, it's not, I don't think it's as bad as that comment suggested. 40% inside the paint. 3 to 10 feet, it's 45. From 0 to 3, it's 70%. So, certainly could be worse. I mean, the twos haven't exactly been the problem. He's shooting 52%, 54% on twos, which is much better than he normally does. I would say the issues are just consistency with performances and the unreliability creeping in from his 3-point shot, and I mean the defense as well, having not improved really is a concerning aspect for the team as well. Yeah. A lot of stress right now in the Raptors camp. I thought we'd have a fun Christmas in the Raptors universe this year, but I suppose not. Not as bad as 2 years ago when, like, right before Christmas, we lost to the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons who had lost 28 games in a row before we played them. That's where you add first-round pick or Grady plus Mobo for, like, trading Immanuel Quickley. Sure, but they do that. I just don't. Who's the point guard they get? And then the point guard they get, I don't trust them to not overpay that guy. Like, yeah. Drew Holiday, like Phoenix said, I still believe you get Drew or Garland on the low, got to get off this IQ contract. Starting to kind of feel that way a little bit as well. Yeah, with Fred and Kyle, they were great at a lot of stuff where they weren't shooting well. They were still great. Yeah, that's true. Drew Holiday 1-to-1 replaced Quickley would be like quite an improvement, to be honest, wouldn't it? It would be an improvement. And you talk about like Quickley playing out of position or whatever. It's tough to play a guy that size as shooting guard who's not as like dynamic of a scorer. Like his play style as a scorer fits that of a point guard. So you kind of gotta put him there. Jordan 80 fixes all our issues. Yeah, a lot of them, yeah. I mean, that I think does kind of fix all the issues if you do that. But those are expensive players. It's hard to trade for them. Yes, in a video game, yeah, but it's hard to do that. I do believe like Barnes and Ingram are worth building, like trying to build a contender around, but you gotta give them better pieces. AD for RJ, Jakob, Grady, 2 first-round picks, 1 heavily protected, and then IQ plus another heavily protected first for Drew Holiday. I could see there being a desire from the perspective of the Trailblazers to move on from Holiday, and Dame will come back next year. Get off of Holiday's money, focus on your young team. AD, I mean, Phoenix, do you really believe RJ, Jakob, Grady, and 2 firsts is getting Anthony Davis? I feel like it's a bit low. Think Dallas. I mean, look, this is a guy that was good enough to get traded for Luka Doncic, right? No, joking aside, I think 3 firsts is probably what Dallas end up getting for Anthony Davis. And yes, Davis is currently injured. If I'm not mistaken, he's currently injured. But then again, like, it's not like the guys you're trading for him. Like, people talk about AD is so injury prone. We're sending, in this hypothetical, we're sending Jakob and RJ Barrett, the two very healthy guys who are always available to play, right? Throw CMB. I don't want to throw CMB in the deal. I have belief. I have belief. He's a smart player. I think that will help eclipse Grady and Walter, where like their faults lie. They don't have like the game to make up for like poor shooting. I think CMB's got real smarts to play. I'd like to see play out for the Raptors a little bit longer. Colt, thanks for joining. What the fuck happened to Yak? His back is fucked up. He's injured. I don't know the degree of the back injury, but when I'm sure anybody knows, like when your back hurts, it really incapacitates you in so many different ways. Like you struggle to do stuff. For Jakob Poeltl right now, the frustration for me is that he can just wake up, his back hurts, he misses 2 games, and then in the 3rd game, he plays 7 minutes, and then he has to check out for the rest of the game because his back hurts. Like, just insane that the amount of time, he has 5 years left in his contract. He's been making a lot of money in a couple years, and he can't stay. He can't. He might wake up and just not be able to play for 3 games. Back injuries are a big deal. He's a great player when he's healthy, but again, it's frustrating that he's so infrequently healthy right now. Do I ever see CMB starting on this team? Probably not, but it doesn't mean he can't be an impactful bench player. I think talent-wise, there's like a starter ability in there. The issue, I think, is like what role does he occupy for a starting unit? Like a defensive power forward type of thing, because you can't play as a 5. He's just not big enough. As a 4, like, you need to have a real specific team for him to thrive as a 4. But even then, he'd probably have to get a shot. If CMB gets like a reliable 3-point jump shot, which is extremely far-fetched to say, that's where he'd be a starter. But that skill set is tough to imagine that skill set becoming like a starter on a good team. So I see your point from that perspective. Joshua Monroe says, this roster is what it is unless we do a major shakeup, and they're going to be a middle of the pack, good but not good enough. Kind of feels that way, yeah, sadly. Should we give up on Grady and trade? I don't want to view it as like give up on him, but I'm not really going to hesitate to put him in. Like, if let's say the Raptors are going for Anthony Davis and you got to add in a younger piece, I'm not going to really hesitate if that piece is Grady Dick, you know? Jakob's extension, yeah, that's a problem because he can't get traded into January, but I don't see the Raptors making moves before the new year. I mean, they did, actually. I think pretty sure the OG trade was on the 30th of December a couple years ago. So we're almost at the 2-year, I think, anniversary of that. Let me see the Discord. What do we got from Phoenix? Let's see. I mean, 3-team trades are typically, like I always tell you guys, no team trades. Let's see, though. Mavericks get Barrett, Pirtle, Murray Boyles, and Grady. So Murray Boyles, you can maybe convince them to have it act like a first-round pick. But you get 2 firsts to Dallas. I still don't think they'd do it without 3. But, I mean, maybe if it's call on Murray Boyles in. I think we're in the larger realms of possibilities of Dallas making that trade. I think they'd be happy to get off D'Lo. Dwight Powell. Vibes, sure. Blazers get a first and Immanuel Quickley. I don't know how much the Blazers would relish taking that Quickley contract. I think Dallas have a chance of accepting this. I just don't really see why the Blazers would do this, because Holiday's making similar money to Quickley, but Holiday's contract ends sooner. I mean, do they bet like Quickley's development? Do they bet on that because they're getting a first? You know, of all 3-team trades that I usually see created in this community, this is probably one of the better ones. I think there is a realistic way for this to, like, the basis here for success. I don't think this is like egregious. You know what I mean? Good job, Phoenix. I don't think that's egregious, and I think that's the best compliment I can make to mock trades. I see a lot of egregious mock trades. It's a bit of a meme between me and my friends. If we see like a 14 5 trade ridiculous mock trade on Twitter, we'll share it and then caption it average amateur hour sports Discord mock trade. So that was a good one. I don't think that would fit into the derogatory average amateur hour sports mock trade. You know what I mean? I still think Dallas are hesitant to move AD without getting 3 firsts. I still think Portland would be hesitant to take Immanuel Quickley's contract, but I mean, if the Raptors could pull off that trade, that is a real get out of jail trade, you know? Yeah, if you had a third, I don't see a huge reason why Dallas would turn it down if you're adding in a third first round pick. I agree. 2 seconds IQ maybe, but yeah, I mean, Drew, what is the team? You have Drew, Scottie, Ingram, AD. Mamu probably has to start. I don't know. Like your bench. What's your bench? Walter, Shed, Battle. What does it become? Jacoby to 2? Like, kind of agree with Andre Silva here. Trade away future for Davis. Raptors not winning a chip this year no matter what move you make. I mean, you're making like a win now, I'm a contender trade, and you have to start Jacoby Walter. I just don't think you're winning a chip. I don't think you're coming close. I as good as that team might be, I just don't think you're coming close there. There's still a horrendous lack of shooting there. I can't get there on that. It's just the team would be shocking. It'd be such a fucking poorly constructed offense. There might be a move out there, but I don't see like the realistic possibility of it. If there's, I mean, let's shoot. If we could shoot like lower on the center, get a more reliable rim protector. If we could shoot high on the point guard, I'd rather shoot high on the point guard for some real spacing. I don't know, 80 at the 5. Don't think you'd even want to do that. I kind of prefer Mamu starting because, like, AD can protect the rim. Mamu gives you better floor space than Walter does. Mamu can sit in the corner, give plenty of space. I see that as kind of the better way for it. I do kind of echo what Andre still saying. I don't know if there's a trade that makes you a contender. So, like, why are you even bothering to lose all your future to do that? There's a lot of doubts with that team. They got to do something, though. Wait, I'm looking for one. I think Barnes and Ingram are pieces you can build a contender with. But it's just getting the good players around them that's been proving to be difficult. Like, I think Gafford is a downgrade to Pirtle. But, like, if you can get Gafford without... and, like, use Pirtle elsewhere, I guess. But then, like, how are you... like, who wants him? It's all messy. It's all messy. I don't know, man. It's all messy to me. I feel like if you trade where you... like, if you get AD and Pirtle... sorry, if you get AD and Gafford, that kind of makes more sense. Because you could start Gafford. But that's, like, tough to do as well. It's all tough. It's all messy. I don't know. Bobby's got to pull off a miracle. For real. Who would Dallas want to build around Cooper Flag? Yeah, probably picks. I mean, picks, no. Darko hasn't been great, but he's probably done enough to keep his job, I'd say. I think we could upgrade there. Gets out-coached pretty often. Like the Brooklyn game. Got out-coached. The Celtics game got out-coached. Drew Holiday would be an interesting one to try for. There is a desire to me to get off of the Quickley contract and Pirtle contract, but you just fucking gave it to them. Quickley's been on that contract for less than a year and a half, or about a year and a half. Pirtle's been on that contract for like fucking 4 or 5 months. It's brutal. Anyways, I don't want to think about this anymore. Let's shift gears into like more realistic possibilities at the backup center spot for the Raptors. People are trying to kind of scheme up ways the Raptors can find somebody out there that like plugs a bit of a hole. But one player that has been mentioned from Raptors fans as being like kind of an emergency fix to the backup center position is Christian Koloko, former Raptor who left after dealing with a blood clot issue. Raptors waived him. He soon after signed with the Lakers, didn't make much of an impact there, and now he has a new home. Let's look at him and some other people that have been brought up as what could be the fix for this Raptors center depth issue. And it's really hitting desperation levels, the fact that we're even mentioning these names right now. But like that's kind of like a situation that is brewing with like Jakob Poeltl this season. He's been hurt. He hasn't played well when he has played. And the contract is really like the handcuffs from this contract are really starting to tighten mere months after it's been signed. $19.5 million this year, $19.5 million next year, and then it jumps up to like $28 million per year for the 3 years after that. We have 4.5 more years of this Jakob Poeltl contract with only $5 million guaranteed in the last season of it, to be fair. But the situation at center has proven to be quite dire. And Raptors fans, a lot of people have asked me, like, would Christian Koloko make a good solution to the Raptors? Well, we won't have the chance to see if that's the case because the Memphis Grizzlies are signing former Laker and Raptors center Christian Koloko to a 10-day contract via their hardship exemption per Shams Charania. So only 10-day contract, so I guess, if he impresses, maybe he could sign somewhere else like the Raptors. But honestly, like, Christian Koloko, guys, I had some choice words when the Raptors let him leave, but he's done nothing to suggest that he's trending his NBA career in the right direction on court. Like, failed to make any impact with the Lakers last season. Was a garbage time player. This season only featured in 2 games. They waived him. Like, man, this is just not a player that is going to have impact on the Raptors. There needs to be improvement for the Raptors in the backup center position, or at least somebody to go there, but Koloko, kind of like what the Raptors were banking on after his rookie season, where like there was some flashes. He played 58 games. He started 19 of them. He only averaged 3 points though in 13 minutes. Not a super efficient. It's you kind of banked on like he was a raw player you're hoping developed, and maybe the blood clot issue played a role, but he really just didn't get better and didn't improve to even close to being an impactful NBA player. So that was not a player to me that should have been like, this could be a fix for the Raptors. Not at all. Definitely not work. Definitely wouldn't have worked here. Raptors need to reach a lot higher than Christian Koloko. But like some of the names, it's just like a testament. Some of like the names here, because like a lot of people have brought up like what Christian Koloko could do for the team and asked me about Koloko. Like, and I say like he wouldn't do anything. Like he would make no impact. But like some of the names I see like people in the Raptors fan base bring up like this are just like, I just think like, what are you talking about? Like, how could anybody see this run of games, see like the way the Raptors struggle, and think, you know what would help us out right now? Christian Koloko or Ulrich Shamshe. Like, I don't want to single out this Twitter account here, Masai's Burner. We could use a guy like Ulrich Shamshe right now. Like, what are you talking about? What on earth would change? What would change about the team? I don't want to be disrespectful to these guys. I valued Ulrich Shamshe as a prospect. He's a young player, but he is like a G League backup center right now. Sure, there could have been something down the line, which we won't get to know because of the injury issues to him, unfortunately. But, like, who is looking at this team and thinking, Ulrich Shamshe, man, if we had him right now, things would be different. Even in the current status of the team, Ulrich Shamshe is not making any sort of impact at all on the floor. So this is just one I don't understand. And then, like, stuff like this, it's just like absolute like engagement baiting. If Koloko had panned out, he'd be our franchise big right now. Like, yeah, like if all of our draft picks ever panned out, we would win every championship every year. It's what if. with Shamshay back him up. Like, yeah, it sucks that health has taken them out of our hands a little bit, but like it's arguable Koloko at this point wouldn't even be with the Raptors without the issue. For Shamshay, he'd still be here, I'm sure, but he'd tell you he wouldn't be getting any game time in the NBA, even with the dire situation at center for the time being. So like I get the situation is not looking good for the center depth at the moment. Jakob Poeltl has struggled. Jakob Poeltl's making a lot of money, but like some of the names here, like you can't just sign any guy off the street and expect that to be this like a solution. Like I could see the Raptors panic on. They can't pull it off, like panic signing someone on a 10-day contract and extending that, like, going back to last season where Orlando Robinson is starting games and Colin Caston is starting games. Like Orlando Robinson's 6'11". How are you 6'11" and can't reliably score at the rim and can't rebound reliably? You're 6'11". They should just fall in your hands from time to time. Or Colin Castleton, like, this guy was starting NBA games and then he got played off the floor in fucking summer league as a 25-year-old. Like, these are not names that help us. And if the Raptors are serious trying to be a winner this season, trying to win games, make the playoffs, the front office needs to start acting seriously and bring in somebody who's going to help. The names that are getting thrown out here by fans, granted it's fans, not the front office throwing these out, are unserious names, and we need better. We need focus on what we can do here. And the Raptors, I grant, they don't have a ton of assets to do that, but even like the rumors that are coming out, some of the names here, like the big rumor right now is like Nick Richards, and I'm sorry, but Nick Richards is terrible. He can't defend. He is not a reliable scorer. If the Raptors traded for him, they will find out, just like the Phoenix Suns did last year when they traded for him, that that's not a player that's going to help you. That's not a player that is going to make a difference in helping your team win games. It's mean towards these guys, but like, I'm sick of just finding filler for the roster here. Raptors need genuine support coming off the bench, and it is much easier said than done to acquire help off the bench or any significant help for your team, because if he's going to help your team, he's probably helping the team he's already on. They probably don't really want to trade him, and I understand that, but we need to start being a more serious organization. So, names like this, we got to move on from. There is a very large test coming up the next month and a half, less than a month and a half, I think, at this point. I think the trade deadline's on February 6th. There's a very large job for Bobby Webster to do in this role, to find something of substance that is actually going to contribute and help this team. Because the team as is, they've lost they've won 3 of their last 11 games. They've lost a ton of games lately. It's ugly out there on the floor. There's clear glaring issues to their offense and defense. This, as it stands, we cannot just keep on throwing this out there. Something needs to change. I don't even think it needs to be this insane trade for like Anthony. There needs to be some sort of substance coming back to the Raptors, helping this team. Either it is a smaller contract. Maybe it doesn't have to be necessarily to the degree of Sandro Mamukelashvili, which is absolute home run. But like somebody that's going to get you like, a base hit. Something that's going to contribute to your rotation. That's manageable, and that's something that Bobby Webster needs to get done. When I get so rage baited, I swear, by these tweets. I wonder. I truly wonder. Salmon says it's a joke. Judging by the profile, I'm not so sure. It's a joke. I really don't. It's. You know what? Let's pull up their replies. Let's see. It's going blind. This is definitely what got Buddy fired. It's the Poeltl trade. There's no replies. Actually, there's only one reply. Orlando Robinson. Well, that's a joke. Could this be a joke? Doesn't feel like a joke. If it's not a joke, it's very baity type of content. And sure, I took the bait. But let's start to be more serious as an organization. Speaking of unseriousness, so I did talk about Jaylen Brown and what he said about Scottie Barnes in the show a few weeks ago, and he actually had an apology for Scottie Barnes. So if you don't know, Jaylen Brown was on a stream, and he said Scottie Barnes is really strong. Scottie Barnes has that extra chromosome strength, which is extraordinarily offensive to say. And I don't know how he didn't realize how offensive it was to say. He should be ashamed of it. But he apologized for it. His apology was really bad. He said, I didn't know that was a thing in terms of Scottie, which I find hard to believe. I said the comments, but I didn't know that was something people had already been teasing him about. I'll apologize for adding to the fire of something I wasn't aware of. When I see Scottie, I'll let him know as well. Okay. How does Jaylen Brown? First of all, he's lying. First of all, he's fucking lying. He definitely knows that. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said it about Scottie. Second of all, like why are we treating this like he was being mean to Scottie Barnes? The problem here is that he used someone having an extra chromosome as a derogatory way to describe somebody else. It was an incredibly insensitive thing to say in general. Not that it was about Scottie Barnes. That's not the fucking problem here. Like, sure, you lumped Scottie Barnes into it, and sure, that's an ongoing thing online. But to like fixate the apology on Scottie Barnes specifically, I can't believe he said it to begin with, and I cannot believe when presented the opportunity to apologize for it, that was where he fixated his apology. That he truly has no idea what the problem was with what he said. You could have said that about anybody, and that would have been an extremely insensitive thing to say. Like, crazy. That is what he came up with there, man. Oh my God. Anyways, that's all I have to talk about today. Blue Week said, I don't think the Raptors are serious. They have an open roster spot and still have Temple on the team. Yeah, like there's a free agent just sitting there that we could sign and we're all of a sudden serious. Like what who's out there for us? Like the 15th roster spot at the time was AJ Lawson, who's still on the team, by the way. Has gotten a couple minutes here or there in the NBA. Like, who's filling a 15th spot in your roster and is changing the team? Nobody. If there was, they'd sign him. I don't see how, like, an open roster spot for a team trying to duck the tax, which they're trying to do, suggest unseriousness. There are a lot of other ways they're unserious, but I don't think the open roster spot is one of them. There's nobody sitting on the couch that is hopping off and helping turn things around. That's not happening. Good players are on NBA contracts. And the Raptors' 15th man was AJ Lawson, who they still kept. Like, if they had kept AJ Lawson on the roster, would like they now be more serious? I don't think so. So not really a problem for me. It gives them flexibility for trades. It gives them flexibility financially. There are positives to having that open roster spot. And I don't think having a end of rotation player or non-rotation player on that is you could argue having it open is actually a bigger positive than having a guy who's not in rotation occupying it, to be honest. That's where I would approach it from. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. We're past the hour. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in today. That is it for Raptors Happy Hour streams until next Monday. Wednesday's Christmas Eve. I'm having dinner with my family. Friday is Boxing Day. I'm having Christmas dinner with another part of the family. So no Raptors happy hour the next two times it would be scheduled for. I'll be back on Monday with the happy hour stream. I will be back tomorrow, though, for Raptors watch along against the Miami Heat. And I'm sure we'll have some fun with the content there as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, hit the like button. If you're new, subscribe. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.